You know, but whatever. It doesn't bother me in the least. It's just, you know.
I actually had a really grand idea. I thought at least once upon a time with the thumper cars. I call them thumper cars. You know, kind of like the thumpers to call the giant sandworms. Anyway.
All right. Do we have?
Well, there was a.
Yeah,
I guess
let's try
it's I think it's called Splash. It's an annual event down in Atlanta. I think it's mostly like a black college student get together where there's like 20, 30,000 students get together for this. I think it's Splash anyway. I think that's the name. But anyway, I thought that it would be really a great plan is to have a soundtrack, the official Splash soundtrack, that you could either play on the radio or everybody could have a CD. But if you had all these, like 10, 20,000, thumper cars going around with this thump, and drive around the city of Atlanta,
We didn't get to try that
you could tear Atlanta down, because we had 20,000 thumper cars playing the same beat at the same time, going boom, boom, boom.
Yeah.
Oh, put it on the radio.
You need to get them synchronized though.
Yeah.
I think so.
They have to be on the radio.
She wants some.
They have to be on the
Now
radio.
in a minute.
What I was going to say about Wagner, I was reading something about him, how he was like one of the first. I would almost call him a heavy metal artist. He was really obsessed about getting the bass in his songs. He had cellos so big you needed two people to play them. One person on the bottom plucking strings, the other guy on top of like a step ladder with the bowing the cello.
They called that a cello?
Well, some humongous bass instrument of some sort. I don't know. Cellosaurus, exactly. Mechacello or.
Well, I never heard that, but now I want to hear Wagner played on original instruments.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
Yes.
I don't have
Blow your speakers for German metal.
Okay, give her some of the, she wanted
Not
some.
Not yet. In just a minute, I will. I thought I was going to try to get this
I'm good.
John's.
Do you want some?
Oh, I'm on my second cup.
I'm no longer.
I'm gonna wet myself soon.
Oh, yeah.
And I
There's a
can't.
restroom. That
we
way,
have a
if you
restroom.
need to get up, just let us know.
Well, I can't afford the
Is-
pens, so I just stuffed the Asheville, citizen sign
Meeting
on my
is at
trousers.
6.
6?
Yes.
This is the day. This may be my last chance to give a shout out about it, and that is
Hey.
that who's
Come
there?
in, have some tea.
Who is it?
The man that sat here when I was here last Thursday, the politician guy. Is that really Carl Mumpower's son? No. He was at Carl Mumpower somewhere when the guy said, "Your son here." I was like,
Dr. Dick.
he'll be here in a minute.
Okay, now here's the deal. This is the day of the URTV membership meeting. Our annual membership meeting will be held, I think, in Studio A in just about 10 minutes. And this is so get in the car and get your rear parts on down here and vote for your. I only know of 2 people running for the position of board member.
Who's running?
Richard and Devine, and between the 2 of them, they are both excellent. I love both of them, and whichever one wins, I will be, and I don't know if anybody else is running, but if either of those 2 win, I will be thrilled with either one of them. I intend to vote. However the vote goes, I will be pleased because they are both good.
Sandwiches and
The flower lady.
The Hatley.
Yeah.
Wow.
Get out the
Right.
vote.
She's a smart
Choice
girl.
between those 2, huh?
You're right, isn't it? And
Wasn't Matt Howard running? He said
I don't
the
know.
same.
Is he?
I thought he was considering it.
John,
Wow.
who's going to work in your chair while you're gone?
Huh?
Who's going to work in your chair while
I don't
you're
know. Maybe you. Do you want to work in my
gone? I
chair?
need to know what I'm doing.
All you need to do
That
is
is
talk.
Will you watch
That
your
would ruin the
I'm
watch,
audience.
supposed to put something on at 5 till 7.
watch your mouth. Don't say anything.
Won't say anything bad, I promise.
Were you playing music underneath the voices before last week?
Sometimes I was. Yeah, I do. I'm playing music that I have. For the most part, I have the rights to use. You see what I mean? I don't know. Is this copyrighted?
Well, it says play me, please. But
Are you gonna stay till 7?
Maybe, yeah, probably.
Yeah, 'cause I don't
might
wanna
have
be
to-
here by myself.
I might have to have a tobacco break or something,
okay.
because I'm a junkie, tobacco junkie.
Clarify.
Yes, if it wasn't for caffeine, nicotine, and chocolate, and a few other things, I'd be virtually drug-free. So if
Well, that's
now,
pretty
yeah.
drug-free.
Yeah, so if anybody's got
Are
a
you
couple of
any kinda-
Prozacs to take the edge off the
no,
line of Viagra
no,
I just
no.
snorted, it'd be all good. But I didn't really snort Viagra. I don't do that. So no, I've pretty much given up on drugs, and
I've been clean for 17 years.
well, I do
All
drink
right.
cheap beer, but
As far as like
cheap beer is not.
narcotic
You know,
drugs, alcohol, pot, reefer, acid, cocaine, shrooms.
I take it you assume that you've beat it at this point.
Not really. I just don't do it at this point. Put it that way.
well, you know, I don't think of cheap beer as a drug. I think it is sustenance, so I do consume cheap beer. But
Beer's just water and hops, right?
yeah,
And it comes in a can in a bottle.
and it's a biscuit in a can.
I think it's yeast and
You know, my
something.
teeth are bad.
Yeast
It's
and-
easy to chew a can of beer. You know.
Anyway. So what do I do?
Well, I won't make anything like any, you know. I'll
Anyway, I was just trying.
just have a tea party.
Okay.
I was just
Don't
trying to
need to press
promote
the
friends,
buttons
and
at
I
pot till
don't think
6.
they'd mind.
Pot till 7. Okay.
No buttons.
No buttons.
Sit and talk.
You'll be back.
Yeah,
Okay.
Set it and forget it. It's like Ronco on Tea Party.
that's right.
Can't you just send in a absentee ballot with your vote?
I could, but then again, I would miss the membership report, wouldn't I?
Well, do you have a recorder? You could record it. We could just.
I've not been to a membership meeting all year. I'm going to because they always have. I've never been to a board meeting this year. They have every board meeting while I'm on the air, and I consider that by design. My paranoid self thinks that they do that to keep me out of their meetings, that they don't want to hear what I have to say.
Well, can we
Now I'll have some of that one.
haul them all down here for the meeting?
I try to have them in for tea before the meeting, and they sometimes I have had some of the board members, and I'm really always delighted when board members will come in before a board meeting and have tea. And you see, we had Ralph stuck his head in. He's a board member, so
Is that Ralph?
that was Ralph.
That was
and I
Ralph.
swear
He
Ralph,
saves us
Larry.
gas.
Badger and John.
I swear that Ralph they sent out a letter talking about the board meeting today and the membership meeting, and they sent out an agenda. They said this is the agenda, and I looked at the agenda and I noticed there was no place on the agenda where the board members were able to voice their opinion about anything. It was all settled and done, and this was how it's going to be, and we will adjourn, et cetera, et cetera. And as I read it, I saw that they stated quite frankly that Ralph was going to give the membership report.
And he says he's not.
He's not going to give the
So
membership.
is that what Joe's gonna do?
And Pat.
And Pat, I haven't seen Pat.
That's what I heard. I believe
back?
he said Joe and Pat had it worked out.
Okay.
So, you know, we'll see. We'll see what that's all about. And
She's out of surgery?
I don't know. Yeah, I guess. Hey, you know,
Well, she's doing
you're
it
going
live
to
from the hospital.
you're going to the meeting with me, aren't
Yeah,
you?
I'm going now.
Okay,
Yeah, well,
we got like 5 minutes, and we're going to jump up and run to the meeting, and these people are going to take over. It's Anarchy TV.
Anarchy
You
TV.
just coming right in and take it. That's it. I want you to read from that book verbatim. That's it.
verbatim.
I'll sit there the entire time and I'll start from the beginning.
Well,
This is a handbook of
no.
chemistry and physics.
Start with chapter number 9.
Start with
Okay.
chapter number
Number
9.
9.
Number
9.
Yeah.
Oh,
Number
and
nine.
there's
Number
this-
9.
And backwards, that's Indianaman.
Chapter 9. This does not have an index or glossary or whatever.
Number 9.
So, well,
I'll go get what?
what were you doing? I was gonna go up to the little boys' room.
Go. I'm
Oh,
gonna.
here we go. Contents.
Then to the big boys' room for a
I'm gonna go
tobacco
get the
product.
periodic table.
Because this is anarchy.
I'm gonna steal your chair.
Fine.
Thanks.
Move my feet.
You'll be right back.
Well, I'm seeing everything in 3D.
Smile. I didn't put makeup on today. I didn't feel like it. I was in a hurry. The Obama campaign has reopened. So I went by there and took some coffee and some things from the old campaign office and working on getting the little refrigerator from the other office over there. And so, yeah.
To the campaign office?
Yeah, to the
For-
new campaign
for
office
who?
for Obama.
Barack Obama? Okay.
Barack
You can't
Obama.
talk about that on the air, but look
I
at this
can't.
lovely thing
Okay,
I
I'm
sent
sorry.
you.
I did not say anything about that on the
No,
air.
I mean, you can't do like campaigning.
I'm not campaigning. I'm just
Okay.
stating.
You're just
facts.
moving refrigerators. Hey there, I'm so glad you. Will you have a cup of tea?
I
You
want
give-
a quick one because I only have 6 minutes.
grab one of those upside down cups right there,
Okay.
and
Make
and
that
here.
Can I
pour-
sit here?
Yes,
Sure.
and pour half.
All right.
Pour her a cup of half this and half the other one. Mix
All
the
right.
two together.
All
Then
right.
mix.
Okay.
No, give her.
You
Is it a
all-
clean cup?
This is a clean cup. I just
Okay.
moved it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that's the old one.
Okay.
Here we go. Yes. We needed somebody in this
Half
this
and
side
half.
of the screen.
Hold on.
I
Okay.
think.
Well,
I'll come over
excellent.
here.
And
No, no, no,
And
no,
give me
she's
seat.
good.
Okay.
She's
we're-
good.
we're
I'm so
good
glad.
the
I'm
way
so
it's
glad you came
framed
to
up.
the tea party.
Yeah. Now I don't know if I've met you.
She's not a member. Give her
Lori
more of that. More.
Eloise.
Give her-
More of this?
Nice to
Mary
meet you.
Ellen.
More.
Mary Ellen. No, another
Yeah.
person. You understand the
Try
two
not to burn
name
anybody.
philosophy.
Uh-huh.
I mean,
You're- yeah. What
my
is?
mother gave me a nickname Lori, but my whole name is Eloise. So now I kind of
So now you go by
swing
Lori.
back. Lori Eloise is what I often
Eloise.
tell people, but most of my friends call me Lori.
The
Okay.
milk, sugar, honey.
I'm just gonna have a little milk.
Sassafras,
I think.
Sassafras.
Wow.
I love your necklace.
Thank you.
It's beautiful.
Now the board meeting's gonna start in
5 minutes. 4 minutes.
probably 4 minutes now.
Right. And we're
So
going.
I
I'm
used to be
going.
able to take a 6-minute shower.
Board minute. I did that today. I took a
A 6-minute shower,
yeah.
but
We don't have
I,
fast running
I
water like
can't-
that anymore.
I can't seem to do it anymore.
Ah.
So there you go. So maybe we could have a 6-minute quick conversation. Double names is a good place to start. Do you have a double name?
Oh
Double
no, no.
I mean, like Earl Black? No.
Earl
like,
Black. That's
Not Earl Black.
tea.
Not Earl. Yeah.
Earl
that's
Grey.
Earl
Yeah.
Grey, black tea.
No,
Maybe.
my first name is Larry.
Larry.
My last name is not Larry.
No, it's not Larry.
No, it's Grillo with a G. And
Well,
in
now,
Italian, it means
Do you,
cricket.
but do you have a middle name?
I have a middle name,
What is it?
Stephen
Stephen?
Lawrence
Okay.
Stephen.
or Steve Lawrence.
Lawrence.
Edie, Gourmet.
Oh
Steve Lawrence.
You know,
no, I'm
Boy.
lost.
Oh, they must be before your time.
Edie
Steve-
Gourmet. I know the name, but I
Stephen
can't
Edie,
place.
yeah.
Stephen Edie.
Stephen
They
They
were-
were a staple on everything.
Yeah, they sang
I'm from-
together, didn't they?
I'm from Eastern North Carolina, where Ava Gardner came from.
Uh-huh.
She went to school with her and her brother Jack went to school with my grandfather, and Jack and my grandfather were really good friends. They grew up in a little town called Micro, North Carolina. So Micro, Selma, Johnson County, all that part of Eastern North
Ah,
Carolina is where Ava
okay.
Gardner came from. It's a hard place to imagine that a movie star that famous would have,
Uh-huh.
but that's where she came from.
Well, they all have to
Come from somewhere.
Yeah.
start someplace.
A star was
yeah.
born there.
Yes.
They all have to come from somewhere. That's right.
Well, I may have to take the tea with me. Do you think I can do that?
You can into Studio A, I believe you can carry
You
tea,
think
as
so?
long as you don't go in the control room with it.
Okay.
I'm gonna finish mine down.
Okay. Well, listen, thank you all for being so welcoming for my cameo appearance. I usually try to come earlier, but
It's
didn't
nice
make it
to
today.
meet you.
Okay. Well,
Okay.
Hey.
you're pretty much
go.
gone. Hi there.
All
I have
right.
something for you.
Call me.
I think so. Might be interested in that.
Okay.
Get this
Your tea is excellent.
Given you're interested in anarchy.
out.
John, are you leaving?
Yes,
What am I supposed to do?
it's yours. You go in my seat.
Oh,
You go in my
Jesus.
seat and be nice
Okay, I'll be nice.
and say nice things. talk
Hello,
about nice
Asheville.
things.
This is Lori. John and the rest of the Tea Party and members are currently in a meeting, a membership meeting, so they are not going to be here for the next few minutes. So I'm sitting in on the tea room in John's absence.
I'm back.
And this is Badger. Badger is here. Badger, why don't you talk some more and tell us some more about yourself? Obviously, I am not John. I am filling in for John until they get back from the membership meeting.
John, you've changed.
John has taken a drastic change in the past few minutes.
John has gone off to his meeting, and if
He
you're
has
still a
gone off to
member,
his
there's still
meeting.
time to get here for your membership
Shut this door just a
thing.
little bit.
Yeah, Sun Badger. I'm back in Asheville.
Badger.
I was here, off and on from 95 to 98, and I built this huge concrete garden that I called rearranging the furniture down by the river. And, of course, I think we talked about that before, a little earlier, about getting arrested for piling waste concrete in the woods. And,
Oh no.
and it turned out, the woman wrote this article. It was, it was a heartfelt, good feeling, article, but, not terribly accurate, but it was on the cover of the Asheville Mountain Express back in end of July, beginning of August of '98, and I'd seen myself looking out at these boxes on the street corners. It was horrifying. However, once they arrested me for that garden, they fenced it all in, like 2 acres or whatever the piece of land was. 6-foot chain link and barbed wire fence, so I couldn't go in there to rearrange all this waste concrete that I'd found in there. And I actually have some pictures of it someplace. But
Is that over there under the cookies?
no,
No.
that's the tree thing. But there was Mickey the preacher man who hooked me up with a very prominent local lawyer who defended me for free on the trespassing charge. And got me off the
So you
charges.
did all this?
Yeah, I
On public property, it wasn't.
no, it was Carolina Power and Light Company's land apparently, and
Is this you?
that's me and my dog in my backyard in St. Paul before I'd left.
Oh, and this
Yeah,
is
actually-
some of your work. All this.
Yeah.
Where did you do all this at?
Oh, that was right below the Riverlink Bridge, more or less. Going on this side of the river.
And this was property you didn't own, and property you were
yeah.
not approved to be doing this work on.
Right.
Oh, okay.
It was what I've come to call weapons of mass creation. Because I go around the country. Like I spent 2 years in Minneapolis building huge sculptures out of driftwood.
Oh, you could
on the
actually get
levee.
work doing gardens with some of this.
Oh,
Why
yeah,
don't you
I'm-
put some of this to the camera?
I'm,
Let's see.
Well, some people say I'm a master stonemason, but I don't know.
Let's work on. How about that and that one?
Okay, we'll just.
Here's another one. Put that.
Okay.
Let's see.
Well, we'll just.
This camera right here.
This camera, so.
Maybe not that camera. Let's try the other camera. Let's see if that's gonna work. I don't know.
if this is on.
There you go. Slide it over just a little bit. Up. There. This is some of Badger's work that he did.
These pictures were taken about 2 weeks after I was arrested, and in this one you can see in the background.
Up a
where
little
they've
more. There
already
you go. Up.
put
Up a little bit, Badger. There you go.
You can actually see in the background, if you look close, where they've
Yeah.
already torn down all the bushes and trees underneath the high lines, like they did every several years anyway.
You tore property. You tore. Yeah.
But you can see the fence
Here's another
going in
one.
the background, and this was just part of a walkway patio thing. My kitchen was off to the left, and
So if there
anyway.
if there are people out there listening that are interested in doing some work like this, possibly you could hire a Badger to work for you.
Yeah, I'm an artist, and I love doing stonework.
Yeah, he could, possibly do a rock garden, or it might be some work that he could do in your home, and
Yeah.
then that would provide him some income. And
Right, so I could.
where are you living right now, Badger?
I live wherever I am, and last night I slept under the magnolia tree. And,
Did you with
yeah,
Lady Passion? And
yeah,
do you
yeah.
know her? She's a high priestess, and her
Oh, I don't know.
It starts with.
I don't know. I don't know.
Sorry,
Any.
don't
Yeah.
understand that name. I should.
Right. Yeah, there's some names like that you have to hear a lot and work your tongue around.
Diuve. I have that card.
Oh.
No, let me know.
Badger's an easier name.
Yeah,
But anyway, so
that's some really good work. Some of
yeah,
that's
I
that's
figured-
definitely noteworthy.
I figure I spent about 11 months over a 3-year period actually living on the site, and I probably rearranged somewhere between 200 and 300 tons of waste concrete before I was busted.
You just weren't supposed to be doing that.
Well, the thing is...
Well, the thing is, you weren't supposed to be doing that, right?
Yeah, well, the homeless people had been living in this woods for decades.
Right.
I just rearranged
Oh,
the
okay.
100 truckloads of waste concrete that had been dumped
Spirit
there
moved
back
you to
30,
do
40 years
something
ago.
while you were
Oh
staying
yeah,
there.
I've been on the road 16 years now, almost going around doing things like this, and in various locations. Site-specific art projects is what somebody called it once, a person from New York. Anywho, deal was that Carolina Power and Light apparently had ulterior motives because several years later, after they had fenced off this entire property so I couldn't rearrange this waste concrete anymore, Asheville flooded severely with a hurricane. I'm not which sure which year, which hurricane, but Biltmore Village apparently was underwater. And after the water went down, somebody just told me the other day they had seen some barrels floating down there, and then somebody else had told me a couple years ago that they'd seen toxic waste coming up out of the soil.
Goodness.
And apparently
Is this
underneath,
close to the French Broad River?
right.
Okay.
It's only less than 100 yards from the river, right between the river road and the river itself.
Right.
And anyways, I've heard rumors that up to as many as 10 tanks, up to 20 feet in diameter, full of toxic sludge, was buried underneath these 30 or 40-year-old trees and this waste concrete. So Carolina
But basically,
Power
what happened was that you were doing all this work on land that was not yours to be doing it with.
Right,
So I mean,
right.
they had a legal right to pull you off the
Right,
land,
right,
and to,
right.
even though your work is definitely noteworthy from an artistic view,
that's not debatable. I mean, that's true. That's true.
Yeah.
I didn't know whose land it was. It was just a derelict property with 100 truckloads of waste
Right,
concrete and all
right,
kinds of other trash on
right.
it.
So
And
for those of
homeless
you that are out
shelters.
there watching, if you decide to just go and squat, pop a squat on some land it's not
Yeah.
yours and start doing some work, that may not be the best idea. It's
Well,
worked for some in the past, but I don't know for the work in Asheville.
You see, I never really cared.
Oh, okay.
I was building a garden out of a dump,
That's
and I
right.
didn't give a damn who owned it.
Right.
It was a dump. All right? It was a
Right,
dump. I
right.
built a garden out of a dump.
Right.
And the reason they built the fence around it is probably because they were totally aware of the toxic waste buried underneath it.
Oh, I got you.
They didn't want me to uncover the toxic waste because it cost them millions of dollars to dig it out.
Ah, okay. Gotcha. I understand.
That's why I was arrested.
Yeah.
Not because I was a homeless bum sleeping in the
Right,
woods like so
right.
many other homeless bums had been sleeping in
Right.
that woods for decades.
Right.
It was because they probably knew that there was, all these tanks of toxic waste under the earth.
May have known
And they
that,
had-
may have not have known that. We can't read
Well,
minds, so that's
no,
only an
well,
assumption, but
Yeah, it's only
Yeah.
an assumption,
Yeah.
but I think that the powers that be would probably be well aware of that. It was their property, and they weren't selling it to Riverlink, who was buying up the derelict properties to get green space back in the floodplain. And they still haven't sold it to Riverlink, apparently, because it was a toxic waste dump.
I mean,
And I
just a
hear
second.
tell they took, dug 20 feet deep to get rid of this sludge that I was building this garden on top of. So I told them at the time in '98 when I was arrested that I was trying to heal the land they had desecrated by dumping all this junk on it.
Right.
And, apparently now it's healed. Fence is still there. But
Well,
I want to come back and build a salamander mound, like thinking anyway of proposing that to build a mound like the Ohio River Indian mounds, River Valley, there's huge mounds. I would like to build a huge mound in that site in the shape of a salamander. And then have other, walkways and sculpture gardens, get the whole,
are
city
you
art
part Native
scenes.
American or?
Yeah, part of Ojibwe apparently.
Ah, my ex-husband is Oneida,
Yeah.
from Oneida,
Yeah, Oneida's
Wisconsin.
kind of, cousins, I think. Winnebago's and Ojibwe, Oneida, Chippewa. I think they're all kind of cousins in a
incredible.
way, or something.
Let me.
Okay.
If you're just watching, if you just turned your television on, no, John has not had a sex change. They are currently
He's
in a
wanted one for
membership
years.
drive meeting, or not a drive, a board meeting where they're voting in a new. Do you say a new president?
New board members.
New
I
board
think.
members are being
Yeah.
voted in right this moment. So he'll be back, and momentarily, hopefully between now and 7:00. And if you haven't joined URTV yet, or you're interested in joining URTV, come down, have a cup of tea with us. Check out information from other members here. I think orientation is normally on Wednesday nights, but possibly they're doing something tonight as well. So if you haven't had a chance to, experience URTV like me, I just dropped in, and next thing you know, here I am hosting the Mad Scientist
There you
Tea
are,
Party.
yeah.
But yeah,
It's the
it's
start of her
great.
career.
It's really great. It really, really is great. It gives us a chance to express ourselves, to be a part of something that's definitely a creative movement with a creative intelligence behind it, and so yeah.
Yeah. And anyway, so that was the Asheville gig, and there's something clicking and moving. Whatever that was.
I don't know. Go ahead.
It might have been a musical background. Yeah. But anyway, so yeah, that was the Asheville gig, and then I came back the next year because I'm this activist and speak about freedom and set up art things and talk about freedom, and often am threatened with arrest or arrested or what have you, and so I came back in '99 and was witnessing a performance by the Surreal Circus, the local group of
Here?
Yeah, here.
Okay.
Yeah, but while waiting to go to court for this garden, I was also waiting for my dog to die, and so he's buried here in Asheville. He died the day after Thanksgiving in '98, and I walked to Florida to hang out with friends and do stonework for them, and I came back and was at this Surreal Circus performance. They were a group of fabulous young artists. They produced a play. They wrote the play. They produced all the costumes and the props, and they had this show. Several hundred people were there. It was a really close-knit artist community back then. I think it still is probably, but anywho, so after their performance, people were milling about, and they had a DJ playing some records, and nothing anywhere near rave-like conditions. And I was outside in the parking lot having a cigarette with maybe 5-6 other people, and suddenly 16 or 20 police officers come driving up with a dog and a paddy wagon. And as they start circling around behind me, I'm facing these kids who are facing the police, and I'm letting the cops walk behind me, and I'm saying, we're free American citizens. We have the constitutionally guaranteed rights of freedom of assembly and public expression, and so forth and so on. And these police officers say, well, you have to shut up or we're going to arrest you for trespassing. And I say, well, I've been invited here to witness these American artists doing this performance, and you guys are the ones here without warrant. There's no warrant, there's no law being broken. You have no reason for being here. And this argument went back and forth, and I was like pulling out habeas corpus and all this other crap, and they finally say, your last chance, you got to leave or we're going to arrest you. And I said, well, whatever, Sig Heil. And I turned my back to leave, and I got about 2.5 steps before I was tackled by, maybe half a dozen of them.
Police officers.
So, Sig Heil, I guess, upset them. And speaking about freedom and the Constitution, I apparently upset them. And so I was arrested for drunk and disorderly, and though I may have been a little drunk, I wasn't disorderly until they got in there. And, so... I hadn't been back to Asheville since. I stopped in a couple of years ago briefly and left, but...
there is a huge transient population in Asheville. Yeah. People, there's just this flow of people that
come and go.
Just come and go. I mean, it's just like a stop on the road,
Well, for the travelers like me, this is a place to come to, just like it's a place for the tourists to come to.
So is the reason they don't stay here is just because there's no affordable housing, there's no there's no way for them to actually break into the community as far as having a place to live and finding work, or is it just a stop on the map to other places that they have to check out?
Probably a little of, the first, but probably mostly the second. It's just another place to stop in the summer because it's a nice place. And then we migrate, to the southern places for the winter usually. And, although I've spent several years living in a van in Minneapolis while I built these sculptures on the river there. And, I was arrested and jailed the night before Easter, 2002 maybe, or something like that. And, for having beer in my backpack within 5 feet of the Mississippi River, and
I wanted to be a police officer at one time. I really wanted to be a police officer.
The closest I got was a member of the Marine Corps, but I was sworn to uphold the Constitution from enemies without and from within, and I'm still doing that for 16 years on the road. I'm talking about freedom as constitutionally guaranteed as an artist. you know, in this country they arrest people for sleeping. You know, and it's,
Well, a lot of times
yeah.
it's considered public intoxication, or you're sleeping in a public
well,
park,
yeah,
or
but it
you're
doesn't-
in, you know.
Yeah, but see, it's a public park.
Right, right.
And
Well,
you know,
I understand where you're coming
Right.
from. I was homeless myself
Right.
in Raleigh, North Carolina at one time. I mean, I lived in shelters and whatever, and I've experienced some of it where officers would come by and tell you couldn't go to sleep on a park bench, or you could
Right.
only stay on the park bench so many minutes and you had to move.
right.
And so I understand both sides of the issue, but what I've learned over my years of, you know, working with the system and battling the system from the inside out is that, you know, the only way that change is ever going to truly come is if you get proactive with people like your city council and with your county commissioners and with your senators and your legislators, and you put your foot down with these people and you write them. And so many people, and I'm not saying this is
Right.
you, Badger, I think that so many people basically feel like, what's the use? You know,
Oh, really?
what's the, you know,
What-
how,
yeah.
what's my little point of view going to matter to anyone? You
Right.
know, no one wants to hear anything I have to say, you know, or
Right.
if I have to go to all that, what's the point? You know, it's
Well,
like,
you know, sometimes I look at this current administration, especially, as trying to, you know, suggesting that, you know, I get within the system would almost be like suggesting to me that I should join the Nazi Party to fight Hitler. Because,
right,
I mean, that's the way I see the system.
right,
And that's, you know, the way I perceive the system to be. And well, just like we were talking earlier about, you know, the city or the county commissioners illegally selling this person this chunk of
right,
parkland.
right. And possibly the sale of the land may not have been
and-
theirs to sell. That's
Right,
still,
right,
you
exactly.
know, is
And-
up for discussion.
And there's also rumors
Or
about
decision.
somebody being paid off, you know, and there always is
Right,
somebody being
right.
paid off, you know, like look at, you know, different corporations, they give, you know, $100,000 to some politician's campaign fund, and the next thing you know, who gives a shit a darn about
Right.
the pollution they cause?
Right, which
You know,
is
the
one of the things
EPA
I've just started.
disappears, you know.
And I'm not gonna. John told us before, and if you're just tuning in, this is the Mad Scientist Tea Party, and John is not here right now because there is a member board meeting at this time, so he will be back momentarily, and I am sitting in his seat until he returns. So I'm just here for a few minutes, everybody.
Right.
Don't panic.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, and I'm not just, you know, I'm unelectable. You know, nobody would elect me for anything, you know, dog catcher, whatever. But
Right.
and I have no desire whatsoever to be in that position anyway. You know, I'm an artist. I'm not a politician. I'm not a judge, or I'm not a lawyer. I'm not.
Right.
I'm not this. I'm not that. I'm an artist. And
I think a lot of times artists are so misunderstood.
Oh,
I think
yeah,
that
definitely.
it's a lot of times what you find with artists is that they don't walk. And that's part of what makes you an artist is because you don't walk the given trail of
Right.
the rest of the population
Right.
that, you know, gets up and goes to work every day, and on Thursday night goes grocery shopping, and on the
Right.
weekend takes a kid. You're in
Yeah.
an entirely different,
Entirely
you know.
different
It's
thing. You know, the University of Florida a few years back actually grasped that concept and suggested that, you know, artists be treated differently as far as, you know, maybe they don't have to take all these science classes or whatever because they're not thinking that way. They're thinking, you know, right brain instead of left brain or vice versa, whatever it is.
Right.
You know, and so, you know, maybe an artist, you know, analytical side is not quite as strong as the, you know, abstract or whatever, however it goes. But, you know, so there, you know, there are some people that actually accept the fact that artists are, you know, a bit different. And besides, you know, there's so many things. I mean,
So what would it take, like if you decided that you wanted to make Asheville your home, your permanent residence, what would it take for you to get on your feet here? I mean, I would imagine the first step would be a place to live.
oh yeah, that's a bonus. You know,
Right.
because it's hard to get a job.
Maybe with
when
a
you don't-
studio or something.
Yeah, a studio would be nice. I
Yeah.
mean, I can sleep in a garage as long as I, you know, have a place that's dry.
And then some business
And,
cards, maybe. If this is the kind of work you wanted to do.
Well, yeah, it's
Stone masonry work.
well, you know,
Stone garden
yeah.
work.
Well, that's another thing. I probably could do that.
I mean, I'm just I mean, but by looking at this is really good work.
Oh yeah.
I mean,
you know, like I
this
said, some people.
this
suggest
is not
that I'm
only
a-
it's artistic and it's very, you know, it's quality work, and I would think that some of the people are in here that have money that would want to do
Right.
gardens
Well,
with
that's
things like this.
see, I've been doing gardens not only, you know, in wild places, but I've been doing gardens for friends.
Right.
And, as long as they have a
That's
dry place to
nice.
sleep and some food for me or whatever, I do it basically for free.
And possibly
And,
it might be a situation where you could, if somebody has an extra property, somewhere on their property that you could sleep, you could actually
Yeah.
barter
well,
out a place to stay while you were doing the work for them.
Yeah, well, the part of this whole 16 years of living art in America has been as a war tax protester, resistor, that I decided a long time ago I would rather starve under a bridge than buy the next bullet, and so I don't work for wages, so I don't create a taxable income, and I don't accept
But what
government.
if you did work for wages? I mean, what if
Well,
you
yeah.
actually had a CPA and you hired a CPA and you reported all the income that you made and pay your taxes on it? I mean,
And
what
then,
would...
and then my taxes would go to fight a drug war, which is a war.
That's not necessarily show. I mean,
Yes, it is.
Right.
Okay. I
Okay.
mean, let me explain.
Okay.
Like I said, I'd rather starve under a bridge than buy the next bullet. That's my moral obligation in this lifetime, is to not pay for the war.
Okay.
Not the war on drugs, which is the war on by the American government on the American people. We have more people in prison than any place else on earth,
Okay.
and we have for years.
Right.
And it's all because of this war on drugs. Like $200 worth of cocaine in reality is probably worth 20 cents. If it wasn't illegal, people could be getting it for $2 or whatever and not be committing crimes or prostituting themselves to buy it. But then the government couldn't trade weapons to the Afghanis like the Taliban for heroin. They couldn't be trading weapons for cocaine throughout South and Central America. They couldn't be dumping this stuff on the street and keeping the population under control, under a thumb, under a fear of crime, fear of incarceration, fear of this, fear of that. The prison industry would go belly up.
So your
so I am
morality
against- right.
is that you will work, just not on the books. that you do not
I
work
will
on the
not
books.
work for wages.
Right.
I will work for
Right,
food. I
right,
will work for a
right,
place to sleep and
right.
food. But I will not work
But
for
don't
wages.
you think in living and functioning in a society or whatever that does work for wages and does pay taxes, and even though we don't always agree with everything that tax money is used for, I think if you tried to look really diligently, you could find possibly as much good that your tax money is used for as you can bad. I mean, we're really, really quick to point out the bad, but when do we
Right.
point out the
Well,
good that our tax money...
Where is the good?
I don't know. You
Where
tell
is
me.
the good? The infrastructure has gone straight down the tubes, like that bridge in Minneapolis collapsed, last year.
Right. Well, everybody, you know...
there's 100 and some odd thousand bridges that are
Right.
unsafe in this country. We're not fixing we're not building schools. We're building prisons more. Like back in the 90s, the biggest.
But why are we building
construction-
prisons?
Because of the drug war.
Okay.
Because the war of the American government on their own people by prohibition of drugs. And the reason marijuana, for example, is even called marijuana,
Right.
not hemp like its
Right.
original word, is marijuana, which literally means
It
Mary
was
Jane
all the
in
way
Spanish.
back from George Washington grew hemp.
No, George Washington, Thomas Jefferson made it law that a certain percentage of your farm had to be hemp because the War of 1812 was fought over hemp. That's the reason why the ships, the British Navy was impressing, Yankee traders, is because Napoleon made a deal with the Tsar of Russia
Right.
not to sell hemp to the British Navy.
Right, right.
So they were taking over our ships and sending them on to Russia, or going to take your cargo crew and ship, or you can go deliver your goods to Russia, bring us back hemp.
Right.
That's what started the War of 1812.
Right, right.
And that's why Thomas Jefferson said everybody has to grow this. But the thing is, it's 27 times stronger than cotton. It takes no chemical fertilizers. It actually rejuvenates the soil.
Right.
It takes 80 to 90% less chemicals to make paper out of hemp than it does trees. Hemp seed oil is the highest grade vegetable oil
Right.
on earth, and Dr. Diesel of Germany created his diesel engine specifically to run on vegetable oil.
Right.
This biodiesel is, it's not a new idea. He
Right.
created that over 100 years ago.
Right.
And so the chemical companies, and of course they used the marijuana as a foreign word to confuse the American public, because they thought hemp, everybody had been growing hemp for years.
Right.
But all of a sudden there's this evil marijuana makes these, evil Mexicans.
I don't like pot.
Yeah, well,
I
whether
smoked pot in the
yeah, but-
80s,
but
and I
whether,
just don't like it.
But whether you like it or
Doesn't
not,
really do that much for me.
whether you
For me,
like
it
it or
didn't.
not, does not, make
I mean,
a
some people I
difference.
know it really works for them, and they
Yes.
really love it, and they smoke it every day, and smoke it in bowls and pipes and this and everything.
Well,
and,
see, this
but
is
I'm not a huge advocate for
Yeah,
it.
well, like this is the typical argument that people get when they start talking about the re-legalization of hemp, is
Right.
that, oh, you just want to get high, and
Well,
no,
I mean, I
that's-
can get
that's-
high at
that's-
Starbucks
that's-
on a cup of
yeah, I know,
coffee. I
I
mean,
know, I know. Just think if they made-
alcohol is legal.
Right.
You know,
Well, look what
and
happened
that's
when it
a,
wasn't.
a
Look what happened.
narcotic.
Look what happened
right?
when it wasn't legal.
Right.
Gang warfare, organized crime,
Right.
bathtub gin
Right.
that caused death and destruction,
Right.
just like the methamphetamine
Right.
is today. Methamphetamine is our bathtub
Right.
gin of this generation.
And I admire you
And,
for being an advocate of this. I think it's really, really great because, I don't think change comes around until people like you step in and like Lady Passion, that said, hey, there are medicinal qualities to
Oh
this.
yeah, well there's that.
What's the actor's name? Woody
Oh,
somebody?
guy, he was on
He
Cheers
was
or something.
huge,
Yeah.
huge advocate for a while for marijuana, but
Well, the thing is, like there's industrial hemp, and then there's the medicinal or recreational hemp, which is grown differently. It's different quality. You can't get stoned on industrial hemp. And the thing is, like I said, I remember reading once that 10% of the farmland of this country could produce enough hemp seed oil to run the country year in, year out,
right.
forever.
Right.
And,
And then maybe what happens? One day that may be it.
and-
It may be that all the
well,
anarchists and
it's-
everybody takes over, and there's pot growing in every field from here to China,
Well,
and there's cocaine on
it-
every corner. But you know what I think is going to happen? Is that when and if that situation did arise, I don't think there'd be such a big deal about it anymore. I think that, it would be just like, bubblegum candy or just like a cookie
Right.
or just like, take it or leave it. If you like it, fine, go do
Well,
it. I
right,
don't care. It
exactly.
doesn't
I
bother
don't-
me.
I
It's your
don't
thing,
advocate-
not mine.
I don't advocate the use of any drug,
Right.
and I certainly don't
Well,
advocate
yeah,
the
but
use
I
of
mean, if you say that, you would advocate marijuana because that's what you're
No,
doing and saying
I'd
that
advocate the re-legalization of hemp for
was just
industrial, medicinal.
advocating, right?
Well, why put a person in prison for growing a plant?
Right.
A plant.
No, well,
that-
it's not a plant. I think what the Food and Drug
It's not a plant.
Administration. Yes, that's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is that, well, I'm not going to argue with you or whatever, but
Oh.
I think it's just what the FDA said was that they found that it had enough addictive qualities to it or something that they found it
when
wasn't
did-
healthy. They've even linked
when did-
marijuana, heavy usage of
Right.
marijuana to mental illness.
Oh, when did you ever actually really believe anything the government told you?
I believe a lot of what the government tells me. I support my government 100%,
Yeah.
and I pay my taxes.
Right.
And I'll be quick to remind them when I pay my taxes.
Right.
When I send emails to city council, I'll remind them if there's an issue that really concerns me. I paid my $25 for my little car out there.
Right.
I paid my $25 in county tax money that went into the treasury. That's paying taxes. That
Right,
means
right,
that
right.
and I'm a part of the rest of this community that pays taxes. And we have a voice and I think that they would agree that you have a right to have a voice as well. That's the beautiful thing about Asheville is that
Well,
everybody
Asheville
welcomes
is not-
everyone, but
Asheville is not the rest of the country.
it may not be the rest of the country, but it's a
just
beautiful
not.
community, and
It
it's a
is. I mean,
community
it's
that embraces
Ash-
all walks of
Well,
life.
Asheville, like I said, Asheville is an island in a sea of insanity.
No, I don't agree
Oh
with
yes,
that. No,
I mean,
no.
believe me.
No.
There's a lot of places
I
I've been
don't agree
where
with
it's
that.
not. Asheville is not.
If
the
people
country.
are that unhappy here, they shouldn't be here. If all they can do is sit
you-
here and then
well-
talk about how bad Asheville is, and
Wait,
I'd
wait,
suggest
you're,
just
you're taking me totally wrong.
Oh, okay.
I'm saying Asheville is a beautiful, wonderful community.
Right.
It is not indicative of the rest of the nation. Asheville is an island in a sea of madness.
Oh, okay, I got you.
You
Gotcha.
know, this
I'm sorry, I
is a
understand
safe-
now what you're
this
saying.
is safe haven compared to Knoxville or Chattanooga or.
No, it's not like those places
right.
at all.
And
It's
that's what I mean.
no,
This
no.
is-
You're
this
right.
is-
You're absolutely right
This
in
is
that.
a haven.
I agree.
That's,
Yes,
that's why
definitely.
people come here. That's
You're
why
right. You're right.
people-
You're right.
That's why
That's
the
your-
artists and the
yes,
freaks and the
definitely,
witches
definitely.
and everybody comes here is because this is a
It's
haven.
just it's a community that I think embraces all walks of life, and they're willing to
Exactly.
look at everybody and say, "Hey, we respect your
Yeah.
belief system regardless of who
and
you
if the
are."
rest of the country was like Asheville, we wouldn't have a problem.
Right.
But it's not.
What worries me
You
is when I
know?
see a counterbalance and that unconditional love, is saying that we'll love you, in spite of who or whatever is, and lately, I mean, I have to admit, it's been a little shaky, but,
Yeah, everything changes sometimes for the worse, and
well, these are rough times. We're walking into some really, really tough times right now, I think.
Well,
We hear it
have
every
two
day on the
wars going
news.
on,
We
and-
see it in our community when houses are going under and families are defaulting on their loans, and
Right.
I think it's a time of coming together. I think right now is a time where we really need to embrace one another and say, hey, brother, what can I do to help you out? What can I do for my neighbor to help them out?
Yeah.
Do I see my neighbor struggling? Can I bring them a meal? Can I bring them do a pounding, which is what was used to be called, we pound somebody, and everybody would get together and make a big old barrel full of food and take it to a family, because that's the old way. That's the way things were done.
Yeah, or a house raising or a barn raising.
Yeah,
or something.
yeah, definitely. You got it. That's right.
Yeah,
There's a lot to be said about the Amish.
Right.
Their principles are incredible. Their ethics, their teachings are.
I don't know it. I haven't met enough of them and conversed to really know where it is, but the concept is good. And the periodical.
We're falling
I guess
apart.
the world is falling down. But as far as paying taxes, I think I had an idea quite some time ago that. If on our tax returns we could decide where our taxes went.
That's a good idea. Or something.
Say, you could
that is a really great
you could have
idea.
like 12 basic things. You could have military infrastructure, schools, medical centers, whatever. You could say, I want 20% here, 10% there,
Badger?
none there.
I have thought about this, exactly what you were saying before. Would it not be great to get an itemized receipt of where your taxes went?
Right.
This
Well,
part
you
of
can
your
see the pie
tax
charts,
return went here, here, and here. This part of your tax money went here.